What's going on, man? I'm Taylor Sheridan's biceps.
I'm Marcy.
We are watchers in the basement. That motherfucker is ripped. God damn, I had no idea. But hey, welcome y'all. Our first live, our first live show of the year regarding Yellowstone. Right after the show, it just wrapped up season 5, episode 13, called "Give the World Away." And I must say, going to this second half of 5B of this season, I thought that this would be a series finale. Um, it's been very confusing because there's been so little said about the future of this show. And before we get into it, Marcy, I just want to talk about the ambiguity of like what's going on. I get it with Kevin Costner being gone. A lot of stuff is up in the air. They had to push the season back or this half of the season back due to rewriting of the storylines and all that kind of stuff. But again, as this show ends tonight, they say the season finale next week and not the series finale. And Marcy, you put that up last week. Do you is there going to be another season? I mean, this is what it sounds like to me. But what do you think?
Um, I don't know. I thought it was really weird again when I caught that they kept calling it a season finale, not only on their socials, but on the broadcast. They're like season finale. And I'm like, wait, I thought they had been saying that this half of the season was just going to be the end of Yellowstone and then possibly continue with the 4/6 spinoff. Um, so we'll see. They seem to be setting it up in this episode for like a possible continuation in some way or another, but who knows? If we get in season 6, it might not be for like 2 or 3 years at the rate Taylor Sheridan is going. So wouldn't get my hopes up too much that we would see a season 6 next year or anything like that.
Yeah, it's. I mean, I'm as confused and as frustrated and as excited. I guess I don't know. I mean, I do love the cast as is. I mean, if they decide to move forward next season with this very cast, I'll be happy with it. I mean, hopefully now with them knowing what they have moving forward, the writing will be more contingent on what's going on with the current cast and like give them more clarity on how to end this story. With that being said, the episode just ended about 10 minutes ago. And for a penultimate episode, I thought it was pretty good. I mean, not knowing what I know, it looks like it's going to be another season. And they're setting up possibly season 6 as the grand finale, the Wild Wild West shootout between the Duttons and Market Equities and Jamie. Um, Jamie, we see Jamie's baby mama back into the fold. And what's up, M Moves? Again, thank you all for joining us tonight. King B Johnson, M Moves. I know shows many more watching and streaming right now live. I appreciate y'all. But yeah, so back to Jamie, man. We haven't seen his baby mama since season 4 when she left. And for those who don't remember, she was his campaign manager when he was running for governor a few seasons ago, and she left um, due to a lot of unforeseen circumstances, things that went on that she wasn't happy with regarding Jamie and what he was doing. And he does have a son with her, but apparently in this episode, he's desperate, right? Like he's watching the news. He finds out that they're vilifying him and making it seem like he knew all about what was going on with his father, with the murder plot and in cahoots with Sarah Atwood and their sexual relationship or intimate relationship that's now brought to the forefront. And he's desperate. He has nowhere to go to, and he goes to her house and he's sitting out. He's in his car sitting outside of her house. She invites him in, and it's. I thought it was a very good scene. It was very tense. You had no idea how she was going to receive him. Marcy, what were your thoughts on that scene, and were you surprised on how she received him?
Yes and no. I think when we first meet her, I think it was way back in season 1 when she was like his campaign manager. She like seemed like to like him because he was the good candidate, right? And she was like very idealistic about like what the attorney general's office is and what they can do. And this scene, she seemed more like, again, I want to protect your reputation and legacy because it's tied to my sons, but he was in cahoots with Sarah. However much he knew about the plot to murder John beforehand, again, she was like, "Why didn't you arrest her after she told you?" And he kind of wiggles his way out and says, "Well, like if I did, then they would have connected it back to me." But then she helps him, right? Like she total like PR mode, tells them what to do and to hold a press conference and what to say exactly. So I don't know, man. Like, I can't get behind that. Like, you knew he was shady after, like, you saw some things that went down during the race the first time. And then when you, like, came back into the picture when his dad was there and you knew shady things were going on there, Jamie's just going to be shady. And you want your kid's legacy tied to that instead of just cutting and running. So, I mean, whatever, girl.
But I think she knows what powerful entities are around Jamie. She's probably afraid to run. I mean, it's not just
True.
her, right? It's her and her child, the child that they have together. So
And I wish you would have brought that up too. Like this, like you're in bed with like dangerous companies that could order a hit. Like, did you not think like that could like tie back to your son? I wish they would have mentioned like that, not just like your legacy, but like, hey, like our well-being.
exactly. I don't know, man. Like that, the writing of Jamie in this season has been very. I don't want to say inconsistent, but it feels like he's unraveled and he's unraveling. And for somebody who is as decorated intellectually as Jamie is, especially in the field of law, and like he has political experience, political aspirations. It I don't like the writing of how he doesn't know what he's doing or where he's going, and how he just seeking counsel from everybody. And like this guy ran like the ranch as far as from the law aspect for many years. Where's that Jamie at? Like Jamie's been doing dirty shit from the onset. John Dunn is his father, or like that's who he saw as his father for many years. He knows all the political angles, how to get out of shit. Even the opening scene of episode one of season one, they're in a at Capitol, not Capitol Hill, but like downtown City Hall, and he's fighting with somebody who's trying to sue them, and he gets out of that too. Like that conniving. I'm finding every type of angle Jamie done that we've seen in the past. We have seen no semblance of that in this season. I find that kind of weird. How somebody with that kind of experience is just like a deer in headlights every fucking turn. I don't. Am I being off base here? Is that? I mean, what do you think about that?
No, that's pretty accurate. I think maybe it's just like all is catching up to him. It's all adding up, right? Because we know that he can be like politically and like savvy when it comes to arguing and, using the law. But again, like we talked about last week, when he murdered the reporter, he was just like freaking out, like right after, right? Like he did it, didn't think about it, and then was like, oh my gosh, whatever, freaking out like punk ass Jamie does. Um, so I think it's just all adding up, but also he's dumb because now that's another person that knows like you were tied to Sarah and like found out about John's death being a hit. So like how do you know that she won't double cross you? Like Jamie trusts puts blind trust in women and it doesn't go well for him. So I don't know why. I mean, I would hope maybe like she would double cross him or something, or just, go to the authorities, something, but it just doesn't go well for Jamie when there are smart, competent, ambitious women in the picture.
Yeah, and especially if it comes down to saving Jamie's hide or saving her and her kid's hide, like she's gonna pick herself and her kid every single time. Like it's.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know why Jamie doesn't just seek legal advice or find somebody that he can hire. I mean, he is the attorney general. I'm sure he has political, friends in high places that he can go to. I thought it was kind of weird to bring your child's mother back into the fold, knowing what happened to the person you was laying down with market equities who got shot in the head and chest just 2 episodes before. Why would you even like threaten the safety of the woman you have a child with? I think the writing is unraveling around him, and it just, I don't know, it doesn't make sense to me. But so moving forward, Beth gets the bright idea of going to Weatherford because she finds out from her husband Rip that Travis is going to help sell horses via the auction down in Texas. And so she gets the bright idea of going down there, I guess, overseeing and make sure everything is copacetic. She doesn't trust Travis, but Rip says he trusts Travis. But Rip cautions her about going down to Texas because he's a cowboy, and Cowboys love cowboying, and whether it's on the ranch or off the ranch, especially with women. And so Bev goes down there, and he the scene of as she gets to the house, like, and Bev comes off as somebody who it's very tough to like surprise her or like catch her off guard.
Yeah,
she was constantly caught off guard, scene by scene by scene, with in Weatherford on Travis' compound. Talk about that. And what were your thoughts of Taylor Sheridan get some more screen time in this episode?
listen, that was a bunch of filler. I don't think it was necessary. It just like, I'm like, advance the story more. Like, why are we spending 10 to 15 minutes on this? Like, yeah, it was entertaining, I guess. And then like you get to see how they were able to sell a horse for $3 million. But I was just like, okay, like Travis hasn't ever really been that much of an important character throughout the series, right? Like he's been sprinkled in here and there, but to give him this much time in the second to last episode of the season, I was just like, okay, Taylor, I see what you did there. Yeah, that's pretty much all I thought. I was like, I would have liked to see like more of the story advancing rather than like that whole thing, because it was just kind of ridiculous.
And I think that's been a problem a lot for this season. Is just a lot of just stagnance, like just stagnated story writing, where it's not advancing the like Taylor's character should not get more screen time than Jamie and market equities. He had more screen time than Jamie and market equities combined. The major storylines, market equities and Jamie, and you rarely saw those two entities in this episode. And look, I get it, man. This is your production. This is your show. You do what you want to do, but don't sacrifice the story for the sake of you having screen time on your own fucking show. Like, come on, bro. Like, what are we doing? Was it funny? Yes, but this is something you put in like episode 2 of like season 5, not in the penultimate episode. You know what I'm saying? Right. The episode before the finale. I thought it was kind of weird. I must say though, man, the guy keeps himself in shape. I had no idea he was that jack. Like what? Like he has to be pushing 50. The guy's like he's on education on the man. It looks like.
Yeah, he looks great. Like not saying anything bad about him, and it was entertaining. The whole strip poker thing. I was like, is she really gonna take her dress off? And I'm glad she didn't, because I think that would have like cheapened the like Beth character a little bit, because she was there like on business. She was not there to fuck around. But yeah, he looks great. Good for you, Taylor Sheridan. Like, maybe that'll be like your spinoff, like you in Texas in your crazy like ranch and all your cute little cowgirls.
Well, I mean, we talked about this last week with Landman, right? The cheapening of the female roles in the Taylor universe, and Beth, who is a veteran, the lady who plays Beth, I think her name is it Kelly or Carrie?
Reilly. Yeah, Kelly Reilly.
Yeah, Reilly. Like she's one of the veterans mainstays of this show, and like in this juncture of the show, and like as it wraps up, why do you have a strip scene with Beth of all people? Yeah. Like it didn't make sense. It didn't, like, for Ripped, knowing that the Travis and Rip relationship, it doesn't make sense to me because Travis, quote unquote, is supposed to respect Rip so much, right? And Rip knows Travis. So why was it in play for the sake of the storyline. It made no sense for the sake of the storyline. For something that could have been easily just passed over and just, I mean, like, it would have made more sense just to like them have an argument, and then he said, you know what, I owe it to Rip. I'll come up there for the auction. I'll do it with no commission, and just keep it at that. Having a 15-minute combined scene in this episode for that, just to go to Montana the next day and do the auction, made no sense. It had no bearing on the advancing of the storyline for me. It was just a big character trying to get more screen time in Travis's character. So
I think the best thing that it did for me though was that whenever she gets home and she's like, okay, Rip, how is that fucking asshole? Like, he's so insufferable. How is this your friend? And then we get to see Rip like really open up and like tell a story. I don't think we've seen Rip open up like that, right? Like telling like a story of like how you made a friend and how like Travis has been your friend for 20 years. Like, to see him just kind of light up when he was telling that story and just kind of reliving that, I was like, have we ever like seen Rip do this? Like tell a story from like his youth that didn't involve like his dad murdering his mom, or like Beth running away on him, or just something like not crazy and like super sad and traumatic. So that's the only thing that I really liked, was to just see like a happy-ish Rip like retelling a story.
no, it's definitely a first for Rip. I mean, just to say a funny story and retell it was definitely a first. I just wish it was more. I just wish it was more heartfelt and from a standpoint of something that was more germane to the ranch, and not fucking Todd the Taylor's character on the show.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess I get whatever. But so Teeter and the rest of the bunkhouse mates are back in Montana, and Teeter is back at the bunkhouse the first time since her dearly departed passed away the episode before, and she's having a rough go at it. She looks at her old man's bed, and there's nothing there, and Walker has a panel with her and talks to her, tries to cheer her up, and Lloyd brings back her lover's hat, and again, I have a problem with them killing him off last episode. I don't know how much this serves the storyline in the penultimate episode of seeing Teeter sad. One of the great things about this story and about this season is Happy Teeter. And like, she's funny, like going back and forth with the bunkhouse. I don't know if the trade-off, I don't know if taking that personality trait away from Teeter's character for this death was worth exchanging Happy Teeter with Sad Teeter. I don't know how much it serves the storyline at this juncture of the story. What are your thoughts about Teeter and her coming back to the ranch and her character arc, so to speak, for this episode?
I mean, just seeing that scene, like I cried in this episode when she's back, and you can just tell how difficult it is for Teeter, for Ryan to be back, just knowing everything that happened, but also not knowing and not understanding how it could have happened. To see again, like she walks in and all his stuff is gone, right? It's like, it hasn't been that, it's been a day basically, like all his stuff is gone. It's like he was never there, and that's how life is, right? Like one day you're at your job, you die, the next day they've cleaned out your desk, they've posted your position. So it was just sad and heartfelt when Lloyd gives her the hat. Like that was just so, I guess it made me sad, it made me cry. And it was just nice to see like her be able to share that moment with both Lloyd and Walker. But damn, yeah, like I don't want to see a sad Teeter. I would have wanted a happy ending for Teeter and Colby. And we didn't get that.
No, we didn't, and I think that's gonna be a mistake moving forward. Like once this story wraps up, of like what could have been, because the bunkhouse, they haven't had much very few happy moments on the show. Like last season, Walker and Laura to get into it, and they're fighting to a bloody pulp. Carter, joined the bunkhouse. His trial and tribulations joined the bunkhouse, and like the season before that, Teeter and her man, getting whipped in the leg by John's enemies. There hasn't been much happiness to go around the bunkhouse. It would have been nice to have at least one storyline close with a happy ending in the bunkhouse with some of the mates at least. But yeah, with Teeter, so she's really in a fucked up mood, and she's experienced loss. And Beth sees her and like wants to take her out, and Beth goes, and old Beth style. First of all, Beth being a therapist this season has been like just kind of like one of the few highlights for me to watch. Like the character growth.
Yeah.
I know the first part of season 5, when you and I and Tristan was doing this together, we kind of complained about Beth's stagnance of her character and how it was just like Beth just fucking up shit for the sake of fucking up shit with it not serving storyline at all. But now seeing, I think with John being gone now and not having that female veteran presence, her stepping up to it, and now kind of like being that veteran presence from a woman's perspective, that nurturing perspective, at least in Beth's own way, I thought her storyline very, very well. Whether it's her talking to Rib, talking to Carter, cheering him back up, showing the mother instant to Carter, and now being that friend to for Teeter to lean on, because leading up to this episode, Teeter and Beth, I don't think had anything together at all. I don't think they even spoke to each other since Teeter's been on the ranch. So to see that and have Teeter and try to cheer Teeter up, I thought was a good thing. Taking her to the bar. What were your thoughts of like Beth's way of trying to make Teeter happy and like trying to get this frustration and sadness out of her heart going to the bar?
Haven't we seen them already in a bar first part of the season, or was it last season when Beth beats up that girl that was trying to flirt with Rip?
That was this season.
Yeah, I think Teeter was there too. So I think they've had like some times to like go out to a bar together. So I liked it. I like just kind of seeing Beth like mature that way and have that much emotional intelligence to be like, okay, I'm hurting because of everything that's happened, but she's also hurting. Like, let me try to help her feel better. So the bar scene with them two was also filler, but I liked it a lot more than like the whole Travis thing, because Beth is a central character of Yellowstone. And also Teeter's an important part of the story because she's mourning the loss of her boyfriend, right? So these are more important characters than having to see 15 minutes of Travis. So I'm wondering if there is a season 6 and Beth does stay to help run the ranch. If they keep the ranch, would it be like a Beth and Teeter type thing where they're teaming up to just kind of like run things? Like, that would be interesting to see Beth teach Teeter her ways and maybe make her like a really savvy businesswoman, cowboy businesswoman.
I'll be fine with that as long as Teeter doesn't lose her accent. You have to right. Accent is what makes Teeter. I like having to rewind and say, what the fuck did she say? I like doing that. I don't want to stop doing that. So yeah, I'm fine with it. I'm fine with them being tag team partners and taking Teeter under Beth's wing. I'm totally fine with that. I want to talk about market equities, and this is the problem I have with this. This is the main problem I have with this episode. We literally had maybe 9 seconds of market equities in this episode. 90 seconds, and that's when they're watching the news and the detectives come up in the market equities and they have a search warrant to like search a property, and they ask I can't remember the guy's name, but Ellis. Yeah. So Chief Counsel Ellis of Market Equities, the detective asked him to where's Sarah Atwood's office. We need to search it, and along with the rest of the place. I don't know why, if this is the main entity that the Duns are fighting, why are they getting such small screen time? Even the chief lady, the white haired old lady that we saw last season, We
Yeah,
haven't seen her since last season. Like, what's
yeah.
going on? Like,
Well, went back to New York. She's like, I don't want to deal with this bullshit. Fuck these Cowboys.
but it's like, but this was the problem that I had with killing Sarah so soon. She was the main head, like, as far as like the person that was working all the moving parts of market equities. She was captivating. She was every time she was on TV, she was exhilarating. And taking her off the chessboard now, Ellis to me doesn't have like the personality. He's not really commandeering on screen. I mean, the actor might be, but the character's not. He's kind of boring.
Yeah.
They don't have any. They don't have anybody as far as like even the guy that was that 2 seasons ago that got killed by Rip and the Cobra or the snake. He was captivated. Like he was funny. Like he commanded screen time. Killing off Sarah Atwood, I feel like you weakened market equities as far as a representative on screen to fight this fight against the Duttons. What are your thoughts on like where market equities is now, and how do you view them as far as like them being the power? Like we know they're a multi-billion-dollar corporation, but with Sarah Atwood now gone off the fold, like they're not aesthetically pleasing to watch on screen as far as their personalities, as far as like Ellis and who's left.
Yeah, when this episode started, I really was excited because it did feel like we were going to advance the story a lot more because it started off pretty strong, right? Like Jamie's sitting on the couch listening to the news report. We see the market equities like boardroom. They're kind of talking about like they're also watching the news and saying, okay, like this sounds incriminating. But we do see that Ellis did not know about Sarah's complicity or like hiring a hit to kill John. So now they're just kind of like, do we think she's involved? Oh, she might have been involved. So I guess that confirms it that Sarah was just kind of like acting on her own and didn't like tell market equities what was going to happen. But I was excited. I was like, yes, okay, like they're going to search her office and they're going to find things and it's going to advance the storyline with market equities a lot more. And then like we get 15 minutes of Travis. So I'm guessing because they might want to save more of that for the last episode, but then like what more is there to do to just find evidence and just be like, oh, market equities is shady and now like they've got to stop construction or whatever. So I mean, I'm hoping that the last episode is good and we get like some tying of all these loose ends, but I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either. That was a letdown for me. Market equities has been represented by very, very strong characters, very creative personalities and commandeering personalities on screen, and now you just have Ellis. Ellis.
Yeah.
And it wouldn't make sense to bring somebody else into the fold to represent market equities so late into the game because we're not going to connect to them. I mean, even loving them or hate them, we're not going to be able to connect to them in time as the show ends, and that's why I was really wanting that Sarah Atwood versus Beth Dutton showdown. I needed that for the culture. I needed that, and the further away we get from her assassination 2 episodes ago, the more I realized I don't think it was a good idea to even take it off the chessboard so soon.
No.
I want to talk about something small, but it made me emotional. I didn't think it would. Lloyd and Rip's conversation about the future, right? So like now at this point, they're just selling everything that's not nailed to the ground on the ranch, from the horses to the cattle, heifers, wherever that's able to sell to pay off this debt and this tax, they're going to do it. And Rip has a conversation with Lloyd, and he tells Lloyd, "Look, man, no matter what happens, I need you here. I need you employed here, and I don't know what's going to be in the future, but you have to be here." And Lloyd hasn't really spoke that much this season, but the one line he said, "Man, look, I've been here 43 years. This is all I know. This is all I have." And to see Lloyd get emotional, it got me emotional. Like, God damn, what the fuck? Like, why am I getting so damn emotional? Yeah. I thought it was a beautiful scene, like for Rip to say that for Brace. I think in a way too. I mean, I'm reading too much into it, but I took it as Rip saying, "Look, man, the guy that I known as my dad is gone, and John, and
Yeah.
you're the closest person I know. I see as like an elder, somebody that I love, respect, and hold dear to my heart. And whether this is end of the road, I need you here with me. That's what I got from what Rip said in so few words. What was your thoughts on how Rip conveyed to Lloyd that he wanted to stay?
Yeah, I mean, he really explained it. He's like, all the other guys, they're pretty young, so they can like go and find a job anywhere. Like, we're still gonna have stuff that needs to be done here, and pretty much like you're my right hand, but also like your family type without like saying that, right? Like he wasn't gonna say like I think of you as like my surrogate father or you've been a really good father figure to me. He wasn't gonna say that. Rip's not gonna say that, but he pretty much said it in the words that he said. So, I mean, in my idealistic way, like it would just be Beth and Rip walking off into the sunset with Carter and Lloyd, and like that's their little family, right? Like whatever else happens to the ranch and all the other cowboys and Kayce and his family, like that's great. Like this is another little family. So, is that what I'm hoping for? Yes, like that would be so sweet. Is that what might happen? I don't know because Taylor likes to throw curveballs at us. So, yeah, that was a very nice scene in this episode.
Now watch Lloyd get stampeded by a bunch of buffaloes in the next episode, and
Probably, or something
New
like
York.
more stupid than getting kicked in the chest by a horse.
Exactly, exactly. The last thing I want to talk about, but a huge revelation I want to talk about is Kayce and Beth's conversation. And I need you to walk me through this because I think I understand, but I need you to walk me through this. So Kayce's talking to Beth about the future and like what he wants to do, and then he randomly asked Beth about, well, what if I bought your car?
Mhm.
Yeah, how much is your car worth? And Beth goes, it's leased, so I mean, it's not worth anything. He says, but what if I was to buy it? If you own it, how much would it be worth? She says 300,000. He says, well, what if I bought it for $1? And she says, that would be stupid, but if I bought it for $1 and I paid taxes on it, would the taxes be based on how much the car is worth or how much I bought it for? And Beth says, how much you bought it for? And he says, oh, okay, cool. He gets in his truck. As he drives off with Monica and Tate, Beth's like, what the fuck? Like, wait a minute, like, he's like, is this possible? And Kayce goes, yes, I think I have a way to save the ranch. So to kind of game plan this is what I think, and if I'm wrong, please correct me. So I think Kayce is gonna sell the ranch to the Native Americans. I think to the reservation because for one, it's tied to Tate. As Tate's half of his bloodline. You solve two problems in one. You help the Native American organization get land and probably keep away the pipeline while preserving the ranch and sharing it with Native Americans. And then the tax you pay on it is the taxes that the Native Americans will pay based on how much you sell it for. Is that kind of where I'm they're going with this, or please correct me if I'm wrong.
That's what I understood from it, and that's exactly who I think he would be willing to sell it to. I think that's the only like group he'd be willing to sell it to. Especially because we saw Rainwater and Mo close to the beginning of this episode, and they're talking about like, look at the pipeline and like, this used to be our land and our people just stopped fighting, but like it's been a constant war for 160 years between our tribes and just kind of the people that came here and pretty much took our land. So um Beth was excited that she hadn't thought of it. And I'm like, that was my first thought. Like, why wasn't this part of like the whole storyline to begin with? Just sell the fucking thing and then you don't have to pay the taxes and like you can sell it to whoever you want to. Um, yeah, I think that's what's going to happen. I'm hoping that that's what happens. Um, yeah, yeah.
Well, that was my thought. I know that was my thought last year or 2 years ago when 1883 came out when they talked about the seven generations. of it going back from the Duttons back to the Native Americans. I took that as okay, that's what's going to happen in the main timeline. Tate's going to take over, and Tate has the bloodline of both the Duttons and the Native Americans, and it's going to be with Tate and Native Americans. Now, I didn't see this. I didn't see this element of like selling it on pennies on the dollar, but making sure that the Native Americans don't have to pay like crazy taxes on it, which I think will be a good idea. Now, do they? It sounds like a great idea, but something tells me it won't be as a smooth transition as what Kayce's talking about. But it does make sense.
Yeah, I would love to see that. Like that would be great. And then if we did get a season 6, I've been wanting like a spin-off with Rainwater and Mo, or like a prequel of like how they met and how like they became friends and started working together, and just kind of like seeing Mo be a badass in his like youth. So yeah, like I think that would be great if there was like a season 6, but it wasn't with like all the characters that we have now. I think that would be great. I would love to see it. And then like Angela Bluefeather could come back, and she was just such a fun like character too to like just watch. She wreaked a lot of havoc, and even like Mo to like stage the office every time she came in. She was able, like, I thought that was funny, but like, yeah, that would be great to see.
Well, if I remember correctly, isn't Rainwater still fighting for his position as chief of like what happened with that storyline?
That's right. Like he was running against like that younger
That woman.
candidate. I have to go back and watch the first part of season 5.
It
I
just kind of went by the wayside. I haven't heard anything about that.
I mean, if he was able to get all this land back to the tribe, they would love that.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Well, do you have any other thoughts, Marcy? I mean, I'm pretty much good. But do you have anything else that you want to bring up that we didn't cover? Please let me know. What you think?
No, that's it. I think we covered it like we've talked about. It was a lot of filler, so not a lot to really go through. But I'm just excited to have it wrap up, and then to like hopefully know, like, are we getting a season 6? Is this really just going to be a series finale? Like, just tell us what the hell.
Yeah, man. The lack of clarity, man, is driving me crazy. I mean, I don't, and this is what I struggle with. I don't know if you need 10 more episodes to tell this story next year or whenever it comes back out. I feel like with all the filler we've gotten this season, you can really end this shit in 3 episodes next year.
Yeah.
I don't think you need 10 episodes. Like we've got a lot of filler in the second part of 5B of this season. Like I just take away the filler, man. And just get to the showdown with market equities and market equities and Kayce, Beth, and Jamie. And let's knock it down 3 episodes. I don't need 10 more episodes of this. I don't, so
I wonder how much of that was because of like the writers and then the actor strikes that we had the last couple years, or if it had been Taylor's plan all along. Like,
yeah.
So I don't know. Oh, one thing I did want to bring up when they were just kind of like selling everything, were those like wagons that I guess they sold some wagons, were they part from like the 1923, like, were they 1923 wagons? I was like, it looks like they might have been that. And then that like would tug at you, like your heartstrings a little bit more.
Yeah, they look old. They didn't look like those wagons from this century for sure.
No. So I'm like, I bet like they used like the 1923 wagons for us to be like, oh, like there's not Elsa's wagon, but like, like the 1923 people. I've forgotten their names because it's been 2 freaking years. But yes, they could definitely wrap it up in a movie, just like Move said. Yes, that's what that's what I've been saying all along about like this part of season 5 is like this could have been like a 2 to 3 hour movie, and then like cut out a lot of the filler, but really like give us really good storyline.
Yeah, I agree. And when I say movie, a Paramount 90-minute movie on Paramount Plus or Paramount TV. it doesn't need to be in theaters. Keep it 9 minutes, commercial free, hopefully, and let's wrap up this story. Again, man, thank you so much for following us today and watching our live stream episode right after season 5, episode 13 of Yellowstone. We gained 3 more subscribers this week, so thank y'all so much for subscribing. And for those who do watch and don't subscribe, come on, man, be part of the Watchers community, man. Subscribe, like, share. You get all the latest episodes, all the latest updates of what we're covering. And if you have any ideas, or you want us to cover anything that you like or you're passionate about, let us know on any of our videos and comment, please. Road to 500 subscribers is on and going. So please, man, follow us on social media platforms as well. Links are in the description in the box below. Check out all your podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify. Give us a 5-star rating. For Marcy and for myself, this is Watching the Basement, Yellowstone style. We see y'all next week.
Bye.